Note, this is entirely the statement of the article from the Chinese side, everything may be wrong. Chinese newspaper Xinhua News Agency said many countries criticized the U.S. at the United Nations Security Council, where the meeting voted on a draft resolution on the situation between Palestine and Israel on the 8th, including call for a humanitarian ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, but was vetoed by the United Nations. Statuses. The United Arab Emirates, Russia and many other countries have criticized the United States for ignoring civilian casualties caused by the conflict. The draft resolution put to vote on the 8th, submitted by the United Arab Emirates, was debated and amended by many parties. The final content included, Palestinian and Israeli civilians must be protected under international humanitarian law and demanded the immediate and unconditional release of all detainees. Voting results showed that 13 out of 15 Security Council member states voted in favor, the UK abstained and the US voted against. According to Robert Wood, U.S. Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, the ceasefire will put the Gaza Strip under the control of the Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas. According to relevant regulations, the draft resolution must receive at least 9 votes in favor and no country among the 5 permanent members of the Security Council vote against before being passed. After the vote, Mohammed Isa Abu Shahab, the UAE's Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, was deeply disappointed with the negative U.S. vote. He emphasized that the vote results will not prevent the UAE from continuing to call on Security Council members to take action to end violence in the Gaza Strip. Riyad Mansour, permanent observer for the Palestinians at the United Nations, said the U.S. vote against the resolution was a disaster. Palestine opposes this vote result and will continue to use all legal measures to stop Israel's brutality. Dmitry Polyansky, Russia's Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, said the voting day was one of the darkest days in the Middle East. He accused the United States of applying the death penalty to thousands, even tens of thousands of Palestinian and Israeli civilians, including women and children, and that history will judge the actions of the United States. Hamas Politburo member Izzat Rishk strongly condemned the U.S. actions in a statement, calling the U.S. immoral and cruel. The U.S.'s obstruction of the adoption of the draft ceasefire resolution is equivalent to direct participation in the massacre of the Gaza population by the occupying forces and the crime of massacre and ethnic cleansing. This is not the first time the United States has blocked a humanitarian ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. In October, the Security Council voted on a resolution calling for a temporary humanitarian ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, but it failed to pass because the United States voted against it. In November, the Security Council voted again on a resolution calling for a humanitarian moratorium in the Gaza Strip. The United States abstained and the resolution was eventually adopted. Humanitarian nightmare. Hours before the vote, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned that the Gaza Strip was mired in an increasing humanitarian nightmare. Currently, Gaza is at a tipping point where a collapse of the humanitarian system could lead to a complete collapse of public order. Reuters quoted residents in the Gaza Strip as saying that Israeli tanks fired heavily at Jarrah, Sabra and other places in the northern Gaza Strip on the evening of the 8th. The southern Gaza Strip, which Israel previously declared safe, could not escape Israeli artillery fire. A Reuters reporter witnessed at a hospital in Khan Yunis that the ground was littered with casualties. According to information from the Palestinian Health Department, a residential house in Khan Yunis was bombed by Israeli forces on the 8th, killing at least 10 people and injuring many others. Yaman, a refugee in a school in central Gaza, said conflict is currently raging in all directions in the Gaza Strip and no place is safe. Reuters quoted Israeli military spokesman Daniel Hagari on October 8 as saying that the Israeli army had arrested more than 200 people from the Gaza Strip in the past 48 hours. Dozens of whom were brought back to Israel for questioning, in the past 48 hours. There were many official Hamas commanders. According to Israeli government spokesman Elon Levy, those detained by the Israeli side were men of military age and were found by the Israeli army in areas where civilians had to be evacuated several weeks ago. Hamas has not commented on Israel's statement. However, the British-based New Arab newspaper said that in the photos of people detained by the Israeli army, Jia Khalud of the newspaper in the Gaza Strip was included, who was arrested along with other civilians. In an interview with Reuters on the 8th, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas called for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and that the international community should convene a peace conference to negotiate a sustainable political solution that would allow Palestine to establish itself. Establish an independent state. Just now we quoted the entire Chinese article for you to listen to, but now hello and see you again.